זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור וכל זמרה, בחצוצרות וכל שופר. הריעו לפני המלך אדוני, זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור וכל זמרה, בחצוצרות וכל שופר. הריעו לפני המלך אדוני, ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושבי בה. נהרות ימחאו כף יחד, הרים ירננו לפני אדוני, כי בא לשפוט הארץ, לשפוט תבל בצדק ועמים במישרים. ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושבי בה. נהרות ימחאו כף יחד, הרים ירננו. ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושבי בה. נהרות ימחאו כף יחד, הרים ירננו.
Shabbat Shalom. On behalf of my colleagues, Rabbi Rebecca Burke at Finchley Progressive Synagogue, Rabbi Renee Fatzel from Kingston Liberal Synagogue, Rabbi Igor Zinkov, student Rabbi Matt Turchin, and myself, Rabbi Alexandra Wright from the Liberal Jewish Synagogue, I would like to welcome you to this Erev Shabbat service, at which we are delighted to welcome special guests from Israel in honor of this week's celebration of Yom Ha'atzmaut, Israel's Independence Day, which officially falls on the 5th of Iyar, tomorrow in the Jewish calendar, but was brought forward to Thursday so as not to clash with Shabbat. Later on in the service, we'll be hearing from Rabbi Ofek Meir, headmaster and managing director of the Leo Baeck Education Centre in Haifa, and 3 of his high school students, Noi Sharoni, Noah Yaroka, and Penny Aronson. They will be in conversation with Toby Levy from Finchley, Oli Medina from Kingston, and Dahlia Gelfer from the LJS. Sadly, Rabbi Rebecca is unable to be with us tonight, as she has had to undergo surgery. She is thankfully home today, but we all wish her refuah shlema, a swift and complete recovery. This evening is also a cause of celebration for LJS member and his family, Kobe Bear, who celebrates his bar mitzvah this Shabbat. And Kobe will be leading part of this evening's service, along with student Rabbi Matt Turchin and Rabbi Renee Fatzel. If you have candles with you at home, I would like you to join with us here in the LJS sanctuary to light them as I invite the LJS's chairman, Sue Head, to come and light the candles. The blessing is on page 75.
you should call the Sabbath a delight. These lights we kindle are a symbol of joy. May their brightness lift our spirits and fill our hearts with happiness and peace. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You sanctify us by your commandments and enjoin us to kindle the Sabbath lights.
The Sabbath has descended to enfold us in its mantle of peace. It brings to us the precious gift of time to embrace family and friends, to reflect more deeply on the meaning and purpose of our lives, and to worship in the beauty of holiness. May our Sabbaths always be sanctuaries of love and devotion, bringing contentment to our hearts, happiness to our homes, and blessings to our people.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Yi Melech, Malachei Hamlakim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Boakim Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Yi Melech, Malachei Hamlakim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Baruni Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Yi Melech, Malachei Hamlakim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Tehem Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Yi Melech, Malachei Hamlakim, Kadosh Baruch Hu.
Psalm 97. The Eternal One reigns. Let the earth rejoice. Let the many isles be glad. Clouds and darkness surround you. Righteousness and justice are the foundation of your throne. Your lightnings illumine the world. The earth sees and trembles. Mountains melt like wax before you, O God, before the ruler of all the earth. The heavens proclaim your righteousness, and all peoples behold your glory. Zion hears and is glad. The daughters of Judah rejoice in your judgments. For you are supreme over all the earth. You are exalted far above all other gods. Light dawns for the righteous and for the upright in heart. Simchut tzadikim b'Adonai, v'hodu lezecher kodsho. Let the righteous rejoice in you and give thanks to your holy name.
Yedi nefesh משוכבתך אל רצונך, אל רצונך. ידיד נפש אב הרחמן, אב הרחמן, משוכבתך אל רצונך, אל רצונך. ירוץ עבדך כמו היד ישתחווה אל מול הדרך. ידיד נפש אב הרחמן, אב הרחמן, משוכבתך אל רצונך, אל רצונך. לכדותי לקראת כלה, בני שבת וקבלה,
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. La 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 la
I will now invite our Bar Mitzvah Kobe Bear to unmute and lead us in prayer.
We praise you, Eternal One, our God, Sovereign of the universe, whose word brings on the evening, whose wisdom opens heaven's gates, whose understanding changes times and seasons, and whose will sets the stars in their courses in the sky. You make day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light. You make day pass and bring on the night, and separate day from night. You rule the hosts of the heaven. We praise you, O God, whose word makes evening full.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amecha ahavta Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chokim u'mishpatim Otanu limadata Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbenu ufkumenu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei toratcha ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגי יומם ולילה, נגי יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסור ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. אוהב עמו ישראל.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, וחיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וכתבתם לאות על ידיך, וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
All this we hold to be true and sure. You alone, Eternal One, are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You have freed us from oppressors and delivered us from tyrants. You led us out of Egypt, forever to serve you in freedom. When we witnessed your power, we praised your name and gave thanks. Willingly, we accepted your rule. Then, full of joy, we sang together.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא נהירות אוסף אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
And it has been said, the Eternal One has delivered Jacob and redeemed us from the hand of one stronger than ourselves. We praise you, O God, Redeemer of Israel.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ושמור צאתנו ובואנו ופרוס עלינו סוכות שלומך ושמור צאתנו ובואנו השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים ברוך אתה סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל וירושלים
Shield us from sickness and war, from famine and distress, and keep us from wrongdoing. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you are our guardian and deliverer. A gracious and merciful God, guard our going out and our coming in, that now and always we may have life and peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. We praise you, O God. May your sheltering peace descend on us and all who dwell on earth.
We are on page 97. Adonai שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכה חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח שמש ומוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה מתים ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך? מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיע ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. קדוש אתה ונורא שמך, ואין לנו אלוה מבלעדיך. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. We thank you, O God, for this Sabbath day, which calls us to a closer communion with you. Though you are near to us at all time, you reveal your presence most clearly when we direct our thoughts towards you in worship and meditation. In you, O God, our humanity is exalted. You are our life. From you come its greatness, its power, its beauty. Establish in us, we humbly pray, a devotion to you that shall be firm in all the circumstances of life. May this service renew in our hearts the sense of your presence and bring us peace. ישמחו במלכותך, ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג, המקדשי שביעי, המקדשי שביעי, כולם ישבעו וינתנגו מטובך, והשביעי, והשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו. חמדת ימים, חמדת ימים, אותו קראת, זכר למעשה בראשית. On page 100. Our God and God of ancestors, may our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, eternal one, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts, and may all Israel who hallow your name be exalted by its peace. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Sabbath. Retzei Adonai Eloheinu be'amecha Yisrael u'tefilatam be'ava tekabel u'tehi leratzon tamid avodat Yisrael Yisrael Amecha, Baruch Atam Adonai, She'otecha levadecha be'icha navod. מודים אנחנו לך, שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו לעולם ועד. צור חיינו, מגן אישנו, אתה הוא לדור ודור. נודה לך ונספר תהילתך, על חיינו המסורים בידיך, ועל נשמותינו הפקודות לך, ועל ניסיך שבכל יום עמנו, ועל נפלותיך וטובותיך שבכל עת ערב ובוקר וצהריים. ברוך אתה אדוני, הטוב שמך ולך נאה להודות. Supreme source of peace, grant true and lasting peace to your people Israel. Shalom Rav al Israel Amcha Tasim Leolam. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם, כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום, כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם, שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לבחר את עמך ישראל ואת כל העמים בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם, שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. Baruch atah Adonai Yosei HaShalom. We praise you, O God, the source of peace. And with God's peace in our hearts, we take a few moments of private prayer and meditation. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. יהיו לרצון עם רפי וגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי יהיו לרצון עם רפי והגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן. יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה לה. Shabbat Shalom.
As you've probably gathered, we're leading different parts of the service from our respective synagogues, some of us live, some pre-recorded, and it's been wonderful to join together with colleagues and our musicians in Finchley and Kingston. And it's even more special, if I may say, to join together with you, Benji Maor, from Leo Baeck Education Centre in Haifa, and to be able to welcome students from the high school in Haifa. Next, I am delighted to welcome Rabbi Ofek Meir, who recorded his Devar Torah before Shabbat. Rabbi Meir is headmaster and managing director of the Leo Baeck Education Centre in Haifa. Leo Baeck is one of Israel's leading education institutions. Established in 1938, it comprises a preschool and kindergarten, an elementary, middle and high school for 2,400 students. But it also houses a community centre and a progressive synagogue, all on the same campus. The school has a diverse and inclusive intake in its student body, including children from Jewish, Christian Arab, Muslim Arab, Druze and Baha'i families. And it is one of the few schools in northern Israel that integrates neurodiverse children into mainstream education. Rabbi Meir has a long association with Leo Baeck Education Centre, going back 30 years. He also has a strong connection with Liberal Judaism in this country. And in addition to his rabbinic and educational qualifications, he has a degree in music from the Royal College of Music here in London in classical guitar. And you heard him playing at the very beginning of this service. So we're going to now hear Rabbi Meir's Devar Torah for us this evening.
In Israel, among the Reform and Liberal communities, we call the Shabbat between Holocaust Remembrance Day and Memorial Day for Fallen Soldiers with a special name, Rebirth Shabbat. On this Shabbat, we mark the rebirth of the Jewish people after the Holocaust, like a phoenix rising from the ashes. This is the story of the Jewish people, from destruction to redemption, through crisis to growth, and from sensing the end of days to a new beginning. As the Hebrew poet and Zionist pioneer Avraham Shlonsky said, we dare to start over from the beginning because we have come here to continue the story. The modern state of Israel is the largest project of the Jewish people since biblical times. It is a project that connects Jews throughout the world in order to establish and sustain a national homeland for our people. It is a project that makes the vital connection that has existed for thousands of years between the Jewish communities in Israel and Jewish communities around the world stronger. This is something to celebrate in every possible way and absolutely cannot be taken for granted. Looking back at the Jewish history, we see how after King Solomon's rule, our people split into the kingdoms of Israel and Judah. And we see the destruction of the Hashmonaim sovereignty from the Hanukkah story after less than 80 years of independence. We cannot but be concerned and anxious seeing similarities today in the modern state of Israel, this third time in our people's history. On Yom Kippur, 1935 in Germany, only 3 weeks after the Nuremberg laws, Rabbi Dr. Leo Baeck gave a sermon at the Kol Nidrei service. He described the Jewish people's hopeless situation during the darkest time in human history and in the history of our people. But he also spoke with deep faith in the divine and in humankind, spoke, expected, and acted in order to bring tikkun olam and social justice to society. Our situation today is definitely better than it was 80 years ago, but our mission is one we still strive to fulfill. We must educate each individual to be committed to being part of the society in which he lives in order to fulfill her purpose in the world. We must raise a generation of leaders dedicated to human rights, devoted to the values and vision of the prophets of Israel, and to meeting the greatest challenge we face here today, ensuring the state of Israel is both Jewish and democratic. Israel is an extremely complex society, and I often feel boundaries are being crossed that should never be crossed, and our leaders rarely set a personal example to be followed by the way they discourse with each other, and rarely legislate laws that further tikkun olam, peace, and social justice. Our educational and spiritual task today is not any easier than it was in the past, and possibly is more complicated. But we believe in all our heart that people have a strong desire to connect with each other, to have meaning in their lives, and to seek spirituality and community. This educational task was set forth by Rabbi Dr. Meir Elk, the founder of Leo Baeck Education Centre, who taught us that we must plant in our students' hearts a sense of awe and admiration for the wonder of life and creation. And we must enable our students to fulfill each one's purpose and responsibility in the world as a critical thinker, creative, autonomous, and moral human being. Today, our children are exposed to an endless amount of information and data that does not ensure they will be knowledgeable and insightful. They are aware of their many talents and skills, but these do not always align with their purpose of furthering tikkun olam. They are expert in communication and have thousands of friends on social media, but not always to hold an in-depth conversation about their feelings, life, and how to connect to the soul of a true friend. Our independence will be dependent on our mutual investment in educating our youth to be autonomous, yet a generation that takes responsibility for life. Shabbat Shalom.
Thanks to Rabbi Meir and to you, Benji, for facilitating this aspect of our service this evening. I'm really conscious that it isn't possible to do justice and tell you about the achievements of the Leo Baeck Education Centre, which is more than a school. You have to go there to witness it for yourself and see something that looks like a university campus. It's a community centre with its own synagogue, Ohel Avraham, and it fulfills a prophetic role in its outreach programming, which includes after-school centres for children at risk, Arab Jewish summer camps, ensuring that local families have enough food, and supporting vulnerable and needy communities in northern Israel, and so much more. This evening, we have the privilege of welcoming and meeting 3 of Rabbi Meir's high school students from Leo Baeck, Noi Sharoni, Noah Yaroka, and Penny Aronson, joining us from Israel, and they've agreed to answer questions put to them by 3 of our own students here in London, from Finchley, Kingston, and the LJS. Welcome Noi and Noah and Penny, and Shabbat Shalom. And hello, good evening, everyone. I'd like to invite Toby Levy from Finchley, who's going to ask you the first question.
Hello, I'm Toby. So my question for you is, what does the day of Yom Ha'atzmaut mean to you personally, and how do you usually spend it?
Hi, I'm Noah. I'm in the 10th grade in Leo Baeck. And for me, Yom Ha'atzmaut is Independence Day is about being with friends and family and basically celebrating the fact that we're here, and also honor and that we have like a country and a home, and also it's about appreciating the people that died for the country and essentially died for us. And also, like, I have a personal connection to this day because there is something that is basically a tradition by now in Yom Ha'atzmaut, which is that many people make barbecue on this day, and I'm vegan. So for me, it's a day to cook a lot of really, really tasty meat substitutes, and then give it to my family and friends and show them that independence is not only for humans, it's also for animals. And it's like showing them that there's another way to celebrate. And like it always brings me happiness to just be able to do that.
Thank you very much, Noah. Do you want to add to that, Noi, please?
Yes, so hi, my name is Noi. I'm 18 years old. I'm in the 12th grade at the Leo Baeck Education Centre. And Yom Ha'atzmaut for me is a time to really celebrate my country. Every year, Israelis all over the country go out to the streets and listen to live concerts and music, and we eat delicious street food. We dress in blue and white from head to toe. It's a really nice time. When I was younger, every year on Yom Ha'atzmaut, my family and I would all go out to celebrate. When I got a little bit older, I went out with my friends and had an amazing time as well. Obviously, due to the COVID-19, the big celebrations were a bit different this year. This year I celebrated with my close family and my close friends separately, but I still had an opportunity to celebrate Israel's independence. And I think in addition to the actual celebrations, I think Yom Ha'atzmaut is an opportunity to maybe dig a little deeper and celebrate the fact that we actually have a country. Obviously, Yom HaShoah, the Holocaust Memorial Day, still very fresh in my mind. So it is hard not to think about it because sometimes we take it for granted that we have a country. But I think Yom Ha'atzmaut is a great reminder that Israel will always be my home, no matter where I am in the world. So I think this day is a true opportunity to not just be proud of Israel's past successes, but also look towards the future and think about all the amazing things our country and its people can do to make it even greater.
Thank you so much, Noi. And Toby, thank you for your question. I'd like to invite Oli Medina from Kingston now to address his second question. Hi, Oli.
I am Ollie, and my question is, as a young person, what do you see as the achievements of Israel?
I can go first. I think Israel has many achievements, but I think one of them stood out the most during this past year. And I think this is the health fund system we have that helped us through the pandemic. Israel basically has 4 health funds that every citizen in the country belongs to one of them. They are also very digitized with all of the person's health history. It's very available. So when the vaccination campaign began, the health funds could easily call and email, open appointments online for their members. Of course, first starting with the elderly and then all the others. All 4 health funds worked around the clock simultaneously, so the population was vaccinated quickly. So I think that is a big achievement. I think that is why Israel was so successful in the vaccination process. And in addition to the health fund system, I think one of Israel's biggest achievements is our youth movement. I'm sure you've heard of the Scouts, the Tzofim in Hebrew, which is one of the most known youth movements in Israel. The Tzofim started in Israel back in the 1920s, if I recall correctly, and today it is the most powerful youth organization in Israel. I think the Tzofim and youth movements in general in Israel have shaped the identity of Israeli youth through the years, and they keep evolving as our society evolves. I think being a part of the youth movement is a very important part of growing up in Israel. Taking part in it helps you learn about teamwork, time management, leadership, and maturity. So I think those 2 are definitely are the biggest achievements right now.
Thank you, Noi. What about for you, Noah?
I also think Israel has a lot of great achievements, but I think the most impressive one is how we have so many different people here from different cultures and different beliefs and everything. And we know how to come together when we need it and really turn the diversity into an advantage. For example, I was in a science camp once, and we had so many different kids there. We had like Jews and Arabs and Christians, and we had religious people and secular people. And we all came together and studied about like science and physics and chemistry and biology and everything, and it really like brought us together. And for example, 2 of my friends are religious and I'm secular, and I met them there, and it really we really felt that we were working together on something really important. And also we weren't just learning about like science, so physics and biology and everything, but we also talked about important issues in Israel. And we really we had small debates and everything, and we really got to see each other's points of view, which was very important. And I think it's something beautiful that happens in Israel because it really opened our minds, and I think it's a really great achievement too.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And Ollie, thank you for your question. Our last question is from Dalia Gelfer, who's here with me in the LJS Sanctuary. So Dalia, come and ask your question.
Hi, I'm Dalia. I'm actually also vegan. Thank you for your answers so far. They've been really interesting. I'm actually interested in knowing, what are your personal hopes for Israel's future?
I think that my hope for Israel's future is obviously to be more united as a society. While the COVID-19 crisis seems to be better in Israel thanks to the vaccine campaign, our society is still divided in many ways. I turned 18 this year, so I voted in the elections for the first time. As a result of that, I obviously got more interested and involved in politics. So I think one of my biggest hopes for our country is to get over the political crisis we are in right now. The fact that we can't seem to have a stable government, the fact that we've had 4 elections in 2 years, and basically put our focus on the people, whether it's health, education, or economics. I think our main mission right now is to heal the wounds of the crises that caused both the coronavirus and the political crisis. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, I totally agree with Noe. I think our society has never been that divided. And I think the most important thing we need to focus on right now is basically making the education system better. It's already really good, But I feel like when more kids are being educated and get the opportunity to study and learn, they start to think more critically about what they see in the media, and then they learn how to appreciate other people's opinions and thoughts, and they start thinking about everything that happens, like politics and social stuff. And I think when people are more educated and they think about those things, they're more likely to really appreciate others, other people's opinions, and I think it will really bring us together. So that will make us more united and hopefully heal the ones of the political crisis and the coronavirus and everything.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much to both Noi and Noah for your wonderful responses to our questions. I hope you're looking in the chat because I can see some wonderful accolades to you both and also to the school and the community of which you're a part. And thank you, Toby, Ollie, and Dahlia for your questions. We're going to conclude our service now with Rabbi Renee Fetzel for our concluding prayers.
We are now on page 520 for V'Aleinu. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, אשר שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגורלנו להמליך מלכותו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We're on page 523. It is hard to feel serene when our world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our lives have gone. Yet, in the emptiness the passing leaves behind, we are not alone, for we have a companionship of the living, and even our loved ones who have died live on in our hearts. For what they were is part of what we have become. We honor them best when we live as they would wish, responsibly and happily, even in the shadow of our loss, and so draw closer to the source of life, in whom every life finds meaning, purpose, and hope. And on this Shabbat for Kingston Liberal Synagogue, we remember Amy Tendall, the mother of Beryl Smith, Edith Ellis, the mother of Betty Ellis, Sophie and Paul Harris, the parents of Helen Green and Pauline Freeman, and Sidney Cohen, the father Joe Humphreys. And over to you now, Paul Silvermeyer for Finchley Progressive Synagogue.
Thank you, Renee. At Finchley, we remember Joanne Harris, mother of Daniel and Jacob O'Donnell, and sister of Raphael Harris. Peter Liebman, brother of Sheila Lyon. Norma Levy, Echama da Baruch Halevi, mother of James Levy. Rudy Oppenheimer, brother-in-law of Corinne Oppenheimer. And Morris Needleman, missed by the FPS community and someone who was very fond of the Leo Baeck Education Centre in Haifa.
Thank you, Paul. Rabbi Alex for VLJS.
And on this Shabbat, we extend our deepest sympathy to the family of Anthony Winner, who died this week. And we say to those who mourn his death, Hamakom yenachem etchem, b'toch sha'ar ha'avilim. May God comfort you and all who mourn. And we remember too, with affection and gratitude, those who died at this time of the year in years gone by. Janet Alexander, Lionel Klein, Dennis Cowan, John Davidson, Magda Geiger, Elizabeth Hall, Pamela Kroll, Ernest George Leonard, Renee Mason, Ethel and Goldie Regal, Doris Ross, Paul Rowland, Rolf Shield, Jules Sefton, and Jean Solomons. Zichronam Livracha. May their memory endure always as a blessing.
And please join me now for the Kaddish on page 524. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו. לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל בני אדם, ואמרו אמן.
Amen. As we move towards the end of this service, I'd like to conclude, if I may, with a few thank yous. To Rabbi Ofek Meir for his Devar Torah, to Benji Maor, also of Leo Baeck Education Centre, who facilitated this evening's partnership with Leo Baeck, to Noi and Noah from the high school. What eloquent and articulate and thoughtful answers you both gave to us. Thank you to all of you for being with us this evening. I hope that you'll stay on, those of you on Zoom, to meet our congregations at Kiddush after the service for a few minutes. And if you're watching on Facebook or our YouTube channels, then please join us on Zoom via the link that will come up at the end of the service. Thank you to Rabbi Renee, student Rabbi Matt Turchin, and to you, Kobe, for leading the service this evening. We all wish you, Kobe, Mazal Tov, and look forward to hearing you read your parashah tomorrow morning. Thank you, Paul Silvermeyer, for reading out the names of Finchley's Yahrzeits. And a huge thank you to all the musicians who took part in this evening's service. Dean Staker, whom you saw in the synagogue in Finchley, playing the guitar, Tim Farrell and Simon Wolfish from the LJS, and Rebecca Singerman-Knight at Kingston Liberal Synagogue. And a big thank you to our audio editor, Graham Carpenter. Thank you to Dahlia, Toby and Ollie for your questions, to Sue for lighting the candles. And last but by no means least, thank you Rabbi Igor Zinkov, who in a seamlessly rabbinic way put this whole service together and has ensured that it has all gone smoothly. If I had the vocabulary beyond PowerPoint presentation, video editing, bringing in everyone on Zoom at the right time, I would be able to describe his accomplishments more eloquently. But please know that behind the scenes, Igor has made everything happen this evening alongside all our participants, to whom we offer heartfelt thanks for being with us here this evening. And we're going to conclude our service appropriately, still in the mood for Yom Ha'atzmaut, with the song Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, which will be sung by Simon Wolfish, accompanied by Tim Farrell.
Avir harim sulul kayayim ve'reach oranim nisaveru hachabayim im kol ba'amonim uftademati lan va'even shvuya b'chaloma ha'ir asher badat yoshevet ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור. ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא לכל שירייך אני אך בבואי היום לשיר לך ולהחליק שקט הרים, קנטונתי מציר בנייך ומערכון חם שורים, כי שמך צורבת השפתיים כנשיקת שרף, אם אשכחך ירושלים אשר כולה זהב. ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור. ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור.
שאלו שלום ירושלים, ישליו אוהבייך, יהי שלום בחילך, שלווה באמונותייך. Let us pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love her prosper. Let there be peace within her walls, safety within her borders. Adonai oz le'amo yutein. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. May God give you strength and bring peace to all of us, now and always. and let us say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
מאוד עקום עכשיו